Galen Data is a platform, configurable and scalable, FDA-compliant cloud purpose built for the medical device industry. Chris has over 25 years of experience developing sophisticated technologies in highly regulated industries, including medical devices and aerospace. He has held key leadership roles at NASA, Cyberonics, Livanova, and Iridium, as well as multiple FDA Class 3 medical device startups. Chris co-authored 7 U.S. patents, 4 issued to date, covering patient management and threshold optimization software applications for implantable medical device systems. Chris has a master's degree in electrical engineering with a focus on intelligent software. Outside of work, Chris is an aviation enthusiast and flight instructor. So let's welcome Chris. So there's a clicker, and we have a 10-minute presentation followed by 10-minute Q&A.
All right, perfect. First, I owe everybody in this room a great thanks of gratitude. Without the angels, Galen simply would not exist. We do use Gilliam. It's a great, powerful tool for time efficiency for entrepreneurs because we have a single place for our e-rooms. And then you mentioned LinkedIn. We're very active on LinkedIn. You can follow me or follow the company. We're now posting daily on LinkedIn. The problem I'm solving is, and it's still a problem today, is that most medical devices today are not connected to the internet. And the solution is, and I was in the business of building custom one-off software clouds for medical device connectivity. And it's very expensive. It can take 9 months to a year, $500,000 just to design and build, or it can exceed $1 million for the design, but that doesn't include the operational cost. The cloud is not something you build once and throw out the window. It's something you have to nurture and nourish each and every day. I was talking to my VP of IT Ops, and he was pushing out security patches last night. And then, as smart as we are, as good as we are, anytime we build a complex system for the very first time, there's going to be bugs. We usually don't get the bugs out until version 3. So even if you entrust me to build you a system today, we don't usually get the bugs out until version 3. Time is the true test of maturity of any type of software system. Galen is on version 6.8. So what we've done is we built a purpose-built, hyper-focused medical device platform exclusively focused on the medical device industry. Most medical devices aren't connected today, and that's the problem we're solving. And now, instead of taking a year and $1 million to build a custom one-off solution and significant operational costs, I can have you up and running in a matter of days, fully compliant. If you're familiar with medical devices, there's Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3. Class 3 are implantable devices. Galen designs and operates as a Class 3 medical device. There's a lot I like to walk around, so forgive me. I'm going to bump over here. Today's gold is data. Galen is the keeper of that gold. So one of the revenue streams that is coming up in front of us is connectivity for EHR systems. Most medical devices aren't connected, therefore most medical devices are not transmitting information to electronic health records. I have 2 quotes out for that now. Electronic prescriptions. Some of our devices provide electrical stimulus to the vagus nerve. A lot of electrical devices. Electronic prescriptions. That doesn't really exist today. You have to go to this pharmacy. Well, now we can do it via the cloud. Predictive analytics. You know, I studied AI when AI wasn't cool back in graduate school, neural networks and hypercubes. Now it's all over. But predictive analytics. First you have the data, then go do something good with that data. Help improve the human condition. One of the problems I experience is medical devices have a check engine light that glows. Nobody's looking at that check engine light until you go see that physician 6 months into the future. It frustrated me as an engineer because I couldn't get access to that check engine light and then plan it with our simulator. Now that check engine light can send the information to the Galen platform, and then data lakes. Data, data, data. Today's world is about data. Galen is a keeper of that data. The market is really big, 52 billion. Our TAM is 24 billion, and I'm happy to talk about that. When I was here last, and thank you again, you guys helped make Galen successful. I only had 6 customers. Now we probably have over 60 signed customers, 4 land expand, 10 customers outside of the United States. Galen is global. 3 publicly traded companies, commercial operations both now in the United States and Europe, and we're going to expand in other parts of the world. We are patent protected. Back then I was only provisional patent. ISO 1345, that's a quality management system you build around a medical device company. That's one of my expertise. Galen has that quality engineering system called ISO 1345. There's another standard called High Trust. It's a fairly new standard. It's an umbrella of standards, but it's best practices for cybersecurity and the protection and privacy of patient data. Galen is High Trust certified. It took us over 2 years and 41 documents to get that, and now we're a partner with AWS. Inbound and outbound marketing channels have been established. One of the things we're doing is LinkedIn. We do webinars. Actually, we're doing a webinar tomorrow. Feel free to register. If you can't make the date and time, we'll send you a recording. Podcasts, we do weekly blogs, we do company news, and we've developed our own internal partner channel network. We build alliances with like-minded companies that are non-competitive. They provide services, engineering services, regulatory, clinical services. When a company comes to them and they get a cloud, instead of building a custom one, they make a recommendation to us. When we see a company that needs clinical regulatory or any type of services in a medical device, we make a recommendation to them. The power of that is it's zero cash flow. I ask for nothing and we get nothing in return. It's very powerful. We create mind share with these two branches. We create content, search engine optimization. If you go in Google medical device connectivity or connected medical devices, our goal is to generate all this material on the ether, on the internet, that brings you to our platform. You're essentially raising your hand saying that I need you. All that is in place now. Target market, we cut the market into 2 verticals, therapy and diagnostics. 5 minutes left. We focus on startups that have very little money or little experience. They need us the most. We focus on early stage. These are highly experienced folks with lots of money. 2020, you might recognize that. You could argue, Chris, why is that in the middle till? It's Google. 2020 is Google, it's Verily. First 20 is they're focused on the eye. The second 20 is they want 20 medical devices. We have 3 on one platform. And then the marquees, the Cooks and the Abbotts. One of the things we're doing right now, internal Galen, is we're shifting resources to focus more on the marquees. It takes longer. I can get to the decision maker of a 30-person company. I can't get to the decision maker of a 30,000-person company. So we've hired a chief evangelist, Elizabeth Hopp, that was an ex-VP of Medtronic. She's now helping us get into the marquees. It's just the natural maturity of Galen. Companies, Abbott, 2020, Cook, paid pilot with 3M, paid pilot with Medtronic. We just learned the other day that the AT&T decision was pushed out a year. We went to Minneapolis and to Denver to talk to Medtronic, so we certainly are chasing the marquees. The business model is super simple. We are a B2B SaaS company. We charge $6,000, $8,000, or $10,000 a month. We do discount temporarily when you're in development, $3,000, $6,000, $4,000, or $5,000 a month. All my customers will convert from development. So if you're developing an algorithm, you don't need the super high reliability of our production servers, so we give you a temporary discount. We charge a one-time onboarding fee of $25,000, and then we have two natural upsells. If you're Medtronic and you have a pain stimulator, that's SaaS one, that's $10,000 a month. If you're a sleep apnea device, still Medtronic, that's another $10,000. So we charge per device or SKU, and then based on region of the world, you have to have servers in country. So when you go to Europe, you can't hit the US servers, you have to have servers in Europe. We get an additional 50% SaaS for that, and then EHR integration. We've done both of these, we're about to pull the trigger on that last bullet. Currently, I'm invoicing what we call recognized ARR of dev and product of 1.4 million annual. I have contracted revenue of 3.6, and then times your scale, 80% net retention, 105. Our sales cycle is about 6 months, and then we have a robust pipeline. We are generating revenue. We have line of sight of profitability by the end of this year. Last year is kind of wacky. Interest rates are high, valuations are being pushed down globally. A lot of our early stage companies and existing companies had problems. They sold off divisions and devices, but our goal by 2026 is generating 7.7 million total revenue. I have raised $4 million to date. We've established a credit line of 260, which is pretty good. Credit lines are hard to get for companies our size. Standard terms. I did have a note, 1.25 million, standard note, same terms as you guys did before, except the interest rates is higher, 11%, 20% discount, and now it's a $15 million cap. Use of funds, sales and marketing, sales and marketing, sales and marketing. We have the technology, we know what we're doing. Now we have to cross the chasm. We have to go from founder selling into a professional sales team. There are some challenges we're working through, but we're working through those challenges. We are heads down running the company, but people have poked at us. Integer, Medtronic, Abbott. We've had conversations with most of these companies. 3, we're somewhat material. We're not looking to sell the company yet, but that will be our exit strategy. Summary, clearly there's an unmet improving medical device need for efficient medical devices. We have the technical expertise. We've been building these systems for a long time. There's no regulatory approval that we need, even though we act and design as a medical device space, and it's a very predictable recurring revenue stream. Questions?
So these marquee companies that have these various devices, where are they in terms of integrating that into their machines, where they say, oh, the next version of what we're doing already has that?
So, great question. So, why would our marquee pick Galen when they have all the money and resources in the world, right? What they don't have is time. We minimize lost opportunity. So, it would take a marquee 2 years to build their own cloud. Medtronic spent over $10 million. We can have these marquees up in the market in months, which is unheard of speed and efficiency for them. And we drive down risk.
What's your competition?
So our competition, you might be surprised who our competition is. Our competition is, there's 2 platforms out there right now, BioT out of Israel, and then Bright Insight. Bright Insight overcapitalized and they've gone through 5 series of layoffs, and they only focus on the billion-dollar pharmaceutical market. My true competitor that I've lose business to is not those 2 platforms. It's the build. It's the Medtronics and the guidance that said, I want to spend $10 million. Now imagine you're in the board of directors and you just wrote $1 million check or $3 million check, and the CEO comes to you and say, I want to spend $1 million of that investment money on the cloud. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, but that's who I lose business to, is the competitors, not the other platforms. And that's a true story. It happens. I had a PhD at MIT, and she told me, she goes, I'm going to hire 10 or 15 software engineers. I'm going to build my own cloud, Chris. And that just didn't make sense to us, but that happens. That's who my real competitor is. It's a great question.
So all these devices that are communicating with the cloud, they all have different operating systems. They're all designed differently. How do you commonize that across the board?
So that's the genius of Galen. So very quickly, here's a sleep apnea device. Here's a neurostimulator, external vagus nerve stimulation. These are all customers of ours, by the way. Here's a sensor that sits in the corner of your room and uses near-field radar to read human vitals with no physical connections. Here's a scale that predicts if an elderly patient's about to fall. Here's a respiratory sensor out of Scotland. Here's a next generation AED. Notice that these medical devices are all radically different. Our first international customer, Almentry, it's an EEG but for the stomach. These are all radically different communication devices, but through our APIs, we've standardized all this. So our patent is about the data model. You create a data model, and we provide RESTful-like APIs that you compile into your device. So it doesn't matter the type of medical devices. It doesn't matter the type of communication protocol, because that's what I used to have to deal with, the unique communication. Using our standardized RESTful APIs in the data model, we can have a company up in days. The fastest a company has done at post-onboarding is 3.5 hours. Typically it takes a few days, we say a couple weeks. But I'm comfortable saying that you could be up and running on our platform in weeks, if not days.
Provided the device has a export function or...
You have to have the hardware. You have to have the cell, the Bluetooth, or the Wi-Fi. We don't provide that. You have to have a layer of web protocols, web capability. And that's becoming more and more common, and that this device here, the cell technology is built into the device. This uses a phone, that's built into the device. And so some of these devices, like here is a phone, but as these devices get more sophisticated, they're building the communication technology in the device, and there's lots of values, because then, especially if you're hospital-based, you can bypass that whole hospital IT structure, which is a major headache. Great question. Sir?
So, help me out here. This is required by FDA to have some kind of a device that reports to the Medical Information Bureau, or who?
So, think of it this way. If I buy aspirin, I can buy that over the counter.
Right.
But if I have to buy a strong painkiller, codeine, I have to have a prescription.
Right.
The equivalent is all these devices have to have prescription. And so think of it as vitamins. Vitamins aren't controlled by the FDA. Those painkillers are. You have to go through very thorough testing and approval process to make sure those drugs don't hurt you. We're the same way. And so once you cross over the definition of becoming a medical device, that prescription type of capability falls upon the designer. And so it's called FDA design controls. And so you're not, it's not, and here's one thing as an engineer, how I was trained. So I'm from the aerospace and from medical device, and I get 5 minutes left. And so as young engineers, they trained us as if I knowingly violated, not a standard, it's called the CFR, it's the Code of Federal Regulations, I could go to jail.
Right.
So that's the difference, is that once you cross over that boundary, everything changes. And that's why people were paying me $1 million to build these, to do all the testing. And it's in the patient's best interest to know that when I send a one to the Galen platform, that one is received and stored and encryption and all that. And we provide all that regulatory background. That's what we do. It's a great question, very insightful.
Do we have any other questions?
What's your current raise ask, or?
So we're in a note. Where is it? So looking to raise 1.25, we raised 346,000 of that note, and it's a standard note, 11% interest, 20% discount, and 15% cap.
So we'd be buying into that note.
Yes.
What percentage of equipment is currently reporting and compliant versus how much is needed?
So this is a emerging market. That's a great question. So think of it this way. Back when IBM released IBM compatible PCs, nobody had PCs on their desks. That market was emerging. We're at that bow wave of that emerging market. Most medical devices aren't connected. Do you think that will be true figuratively tomorrow? So we're at the stage of the IBM compatible computer that wasn't on everybody's desk. Now I'm comfortable saying not only are computers on everybody's desk, you probably got one in your pocket too. And so that's the opportunity, and the vision is, do you think medical devices will be connected in the future? That check engine light?
No.
Nobody's looking at that check engine light. We provide the infrastructure to read that check engine light. And then of course the analytics and all the green space that's in front of us, and the data. It's about the data. Or I have a class 2 implantable cardiac device. He goes, Chris, I'm not an implantable cardiac device. I'm a data company. Once I get that data, then I can help improve the human condition just through monitoring. But it's the device, it's just a device. It's the data that he's going to have the real opportunity. Any other questions?
Right?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.